Imagine for a moment that everything you've been told about manifesting your desires is only part of the story. Most teachings, most guides, even most spiritual practices, emphasize intention. They tell you to set your intention, focus your will, or visualize clearly. And while these tools are helpful to some degree, they often lead to frustration, confusion, and a subtle but persistent sense that something essential is missing. You might have tried tirelessly to manifest a new job, a loving relationship, financial abundance, or even a shift in your personal life, only to find that no matter how strong your focus or how detailed your visualization, the result remains elusive. And in those moments, a quiet question begins to surface within you. Why does intention sometimes feel so weak, so unreliable, even when you're giving it your all? What if I told you that the real power doesn't lie in intention at all? That the force capable of creating lasting transformation, of shifting reality in ways that feel effortless, is something far subtler, far more profound: your awareness. Awareness is not about trying harder, visualizing more vividly, or pushing your desires into reality. It is about becoming present, observing the currents of your mind and energy, and aligning yourself with the underlying flow of life itself. While intention is an act of doing, awareness is an act of being. And this difference, subtle as it may seem, is the key to unlocking a level of manifestation that most people never reach. Think of it like this: intention is the hand that points to a destination, but awareness is the compass that shows you the path, even when the terrain shifts beneath your feet. When we rely solely on intention, we are constantly exerting effort, wrestling with resistance, and trying to control outcomes that are far bigger than our mind can manage. Awareness, however, works quietly in the background. It notices patterns, senses opportunities, and subtly aligns your energy with what is already waiting for you in the universe. This is why some of the most profound shifts in life happen not when you're trying hardest, but when you step back, observe, and allow yourself to be guided from within. In your daily life, you may have experienced moments that hint at this power without realizing it. Perhaps you've had an idea, a thought, or a sudden realization that seemed to appear out of nowhere, and yet it changed the way you approached a situation. Or maybe a solution to a problem came to you in the quiet moments, when you weren't pushing, forcing, or trying to control anything. That is your awareness at work, the silent, creative force that precedes intention. It is the space in which ideas, opportunities, and synchronicities naturally emerge. The more you cultivate this space, the more you invite the universe to co-create with you, rather than fighting against it. Now, consider the contrast between two versions of yourself. The first is the version who tries tirelessly to force life into a desired shape, measuring success by effort and willpower. This version often experiences tension, self-doubt, and moments of despair when the universe doesn't respond as expected. The second version is the one who moves with awareness, who observes without judgment, who allows life to guide them, and whose desires are expressed effortlessly through alignment rather than force. The difference between these two selves is not just technique, it is a shift in consciousness. One operates from doing, the other from being. One struggles, the other flows. One relies on the mind's strategy, the other taps into the infinite intelligence of awareness itself. By the end of this exploration, you will begin to understand why awareness is fundamentally stronger than intention. You will see how subtle shifts in your perception can lead to profound transformations, how your inner state can reshape your external reality, and why letting go of the need to force outcomes is not surrendering, it is awakening to a higher form of creative power. This is not abstract theory. It is practical, experiential, and accessible to anyone willing to step into a new way of seeing themselves and the world. So, as we move forward, I invite you to quiet the mind, to observe without trying, and to notice the difference between effort and alignment. Open yourself to the possibility that what you are about to learn could completely change the way you approach reality, manifestation, and even your own personal evolution. Because when you truly grasp the power of awareness, you will no longer be bound by the limitations of intention. You will begin to create from a place of presence, clarity, and effortless alignment. And that, more than anything else, is where real transformation begins. For most of our lives, we have been taught to believe that intention is the key to manifesting our desires. From self-help books to spiritual teachings, the message is consistent. Decide what you want, focus on it, and the universe will deliver. On the surface, it seems simple, elegant, even empowering. And yet, countless people, despite following these steps with diligence and faith, find themselves stuck. The desired outcomes remain out of reach, and the sense of effort often outweighs the joy of creation. Why does this happen? Why does intention, which feels so potent in theory, often fall short in practice? The answer lies in understanding what intention really is and what it is not. Intention is, at its core, an act of the mind. It is the projection of desire, the formulation of a goal, and the attempt to move energy toward a specific outcome. The mind, however, is limited. It is linear, judgmental, and often entangled with fear, doubt, and past experiences. When you rely solely on intention, you are essentially asking a finite system, the thinking mind, to orchestrate infinite possibilities. This is where resistance naturally arises. The mind wants control, clarity, and certainty, yet life operates in vast, dynamic layers that cannot be fully predicted or forced. The result is tension. You try, push, and will something into existence, but the more you struggle, the more obstacles appear. Consider how often you have tried to manifest something important. Perhaps it was a career change, a relationship, or even a personal transformation. You created affirmations, visualized the ideal scenario in vivid detail, and repeated your intentions with devotion. Yet, sometimes, no matter how precise or heartfelt your efforts, life seemed to have other plans. You might have felt frustrated, doubting yourself, or even questioning the process itself. This struggle is not your fault, nor is it a failure of intention entirely. It is simply the limitation of relying on a force that is, by nature, a doing force rather than a being force. Another key factor that undermines intention is attachment. When we focus intensely on a desired outcome, we often become emotionally entangled with it. Our mind constructs a picture of success or fulfillment and clings to it. This attachment creates subtle blocks because the universe responds more to alignment than to desperation. Intention driven by pressure or need creates resistance rather than flow. The harder we push, the more life seems to push back. In this way, intention without awareness is like trying to row upstream against a strong current. The effort is exhausting and progress is slow, uncertain, and often discouraging. This is where the contrast becomes clear. The old self operates through intention alone. It sets goals, chases outcomes, and measures success externally. It is constantly in motion, constantly doing, constantly striving. And while effort can yield some results, it often comes at the cost of inner peace, alignment, and joy. The old self experiences highs and lows, excitement and disappointment, and ultimately feels that the external world is a separate force to be tamed or negotiated with. Now imagine a different approach. Imagine a self that does not rely solely on intention, a self that recognizes the limitations of willpower and control. This new self understands that life is not a problem to be solved but a flow to be engaged with. Rather than struggling against resistance, it cultivates awareness, observing thoughts, emotions, and desires without clinging or forcing. The difference may seem subtle at first, but it is profound. Where intention alone often leads to tension and fatigue, awareness creates clarity, presence, and effortless alignment. It allows the universe to respond naturally, without the interference of the ego's agenda. Even practical examples illustrate this shift. Consider a time when you truly let go of striving, when you stopped trying to make things happen and instead allowed life to guide you. Often, these moments are when solutions appear spontaneously, opportunities present themselves unexpectedly, and synchronicities align with perfect timing. This is not magic in the superficial sense. It is the universe responding to a state of being rather than a state of doing. Awareness opens the door to a higher-order intelligence that works behind the scenes, arranging circumstances in ways that intention alone cannot. It is important to acknowledge that intention is not useless. It is a tool, a pointer that directs your energy and focus. But like any tool, its effectiveness depends on the context and the way it is wielded. Intention without awareness is limited, prone to frustration, and often results in forcing outcomes rather than co-creating with life. Awareness, on the other hand, is the foundation. It is the fertile soil in which intentions can truly take root and flourish. When awareness is present, intention becomes aligned, effortless, and infinitely more potent. By the end of this exploration, you begin to see a pattern. Intention alone is a partial key, a stepping stone rather than the final answer. The struggle, the resistance, the repeated cycles of trying and failing, they are all signals pointing toward something deeper. They invite you to shift from reliance on effort to cultivation of presence, from chasing outcomes to embodying alignment. This is the doorway into the next phase of understanding, where awareness is revealed as the true creative force, the silent engine behind manifestation, and the path to a more effortless, fulfilling, and expansive life. Now that we have explored the limitations of intention, it becomes clear that there is a deeper, more subtle power at work, one that precedes thought, desire, and will. This power is awareness. Unlike intention, which is an act of doing, awareness is an act of being. It is the quiet, observing presence that underlies every thought, every emotion, and every action. Awareness is not about effort or struggle. It is about noticing, perceiving, and aligning with the flow of life itself. And when harnessed, awareness becomes the most potent creative force available to any human being. To understand this, consider how reality is actually shaped. Most of us assume that external circumstances dictate our inner state. We believe that if we achieve certain goals, acquire specific possessions, or reach milestones, we will finally feel fulfilled. Yet the reverse is true. It is the state of our awareness, the way we perceive and inhabit our reality, that shapes what manifests around us. Awareness sets the vibrational tone of our life. It informs how we interact with opportunities, how we respond to challenges, and how we naturally attract experiences that resonate with our inner state. In other words, awareness is the filter through which reality is co-created. This is why some people seem to effortlessly manifest abundance, joy, and synchronicities while others, despite intense effort, struggle. Those who operate primarily from intention often push, strive, and try to control outcomes, which creates subtle resistance. Those who operate from awareness, however, tune into the underlying currents of life, sensing where alignment exists and moving with it rather than against it. Awareness allows us to act in harmony with the universe, not in opposition to it. It transforms manifestation from a struggle into a dance, a responsive, intuitive, and deeply fulfilling process. One of the most profound aspects of awareness is its relationship to the present moment. While intention often looks outward, projecting desire into a future that is yet to exist, awareness anchors us in the now. And paradoxically, it is in this present-centered state that the seeds of future creation are sown. When we are fully aware, we notice subtleties that others miss. The nuances of our environment, the opportunities hidden in challenges, the invisible threads connecting people, places, and ideas. Awareness is like the quiet sun behind a cloudy sky. It may be invisible at times, but it shapes everything beneath it. Experiential exercises can help illustrate this concept. For example, try this simple practice. Sit quietly for a few minutes and simply observe your thoughts without judgment. Do not try to change anything, do not try to control the mind, and do not attach to any particular outcome. Notice how thoughts arise and fade, how sensations appear and dissolve. In this simple act of observation, something remarkable happens. You create a space between the observer and the observed. That space is awareness. It is in that space that true creation occurs, not through effort but through alignment. It is a subtle shift, but it carries immense power. The contrast between acting from intention and acting from awareness becomes even more striking when we examine emotional alignment. Intention often comes with pressure, expectation, and attachment. Awareness, on the other hand, cultivates presence, clarity, and detachment, not in the sense of indifference, but in the sense of flowing with what is, without forcing what should be. When awareness guides action, emotions are no longer obstacles but instruments of manifestation. Joy, curiosity, gratitude, and curiosity become signals of alignment, rather than reactions to lack or frustration. Awareness transforms our inner state from a battlefield of resistance into a field of creation. In practical terms, awareness reshapes the way we interact with life. It allows us to notice the opportunities that are already present, rather than constantly chasing what is absent. It enables us to recognize limiting beliefs and habitual patterns that unconsciously block manifestation. It gives us the ability to pause, to choose consciously, and to respond with clarity rather than reactivity. Every moment becomes a potential point of co-creation, because awareness reveals the subtle currents that intention alone cannot perceive. Another dimension of awareness lies in its capacity to harmonize mind, body, and spirit. While intention primarily engages the mind, awareness engages the whole being. It senses the energy of the body, the quiet whispers of intuition, and the invisible connections to the larger field of consciousness. This holistic engagement is what allows manifestation to become effortless. When mind, body, and spirit align within awareness, desires are no longer forced. They naturally unfold in perfect timing. The universe responds not because it must, but because alignment has been established. Consider the metaphor of a musician playing an instrument. Intention alone is like pressing the keys in a rigid, mechanical way, hoping for the right sound to emerge. Awareness, however, is like becoming fully present with the music, feeling the vibrations, and responding intuitively to the flow of melody. The difference is striking. One produces notes, the other produces harmony. Similarly, in life, awareness transforms the act of creation from mechanical effort into fluid orchestration. Ultimately, Awareness is not something to be achieved, fixed, or controlled. It is a recognition of what is already present within you. It is the silent witness that has always been there, waiting for you to notice. By cultivating awareness, you step into a new paradigm of manifestation. One where effort is replaced by flow, struggle is replaced by alignment, and limitation is replaced by possibility. Awareness does not compete with intention, it amplifies it. It transforms intention from a fragile attempt into a powerful, effortless expression of your true self. In this section, we begin to see that awareness is not merely an abstract concept. It is the true engine of creation. It is the field in which intentions become reality, the lens through which life unfolds harmoniously, and the internal compass guiding us to our highest potential. The journey from relying solely on intention to embracing awareness is transformative. It is the shift from forcing life to co-creating with it, from struggling against resistance to moving with the subtle currents of possibility. And this is only the beginning. Now that we've explored the deep power of awareness and how it shapes our ability to manifest, the question naturally arises, how do we integrate this awareness into our daily lives? It's one thing to understand the theory behind awareness as the true creative force, but quite another to embody it in every moment. The key to transformation lies not just in knowing this truth, but in living it. And this requires a shift in how we approach our daily experience, both internally and externally. The first step is understanding that integration is not a grand, one-time event. It is an ongoing practice, a subtle shift in perception that deepens over time. Think of it as learning to ride a bicycle. In the beginning, you may feel wobbly and uncertain. But as you practice, your movements become smoother, more fluid, and natural. The same is true with awareness. At first, it may feel like an effort, observing your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment or attachment. But with regular practice, it becomes second nature. To start, begin with small, everyday moments of awareness. It could be something as simple as how you feel when you wake up in the morning. Instead of immediately diving into your thoughts or plans for the day, take a few moments to simply observe how you feel. Are you tense? Relaxed? Anxious? Calm? Instead of trying to change anything, simply acknowledge the feeling without resistance. This practice of observation is the first step in integrating awareness into your life. By observing your emotions and mental state, you begin to create space between your identity and your thoughts or feelings. This space is where transformation happens. Next, incorporate mindfulness into routine activities. Whether you're brushing your teeth, washing dishes, or walking to the bus stop, take moments to engage fully with the present moment. Feel the sensations in your body, notice the sounds around you, and bring your awareness to what is happening in the here and now. By practicing mindfulness in everyday tasks, you train yourself to stay anchored in awareness, even in moments that might otherwise slip by unnoticed. It's also essential to observe your thoughts, especially those that are repetitive or negative. In the old paradigm, we often believed that we were our thoughts. We identified with our worries, judgments, and anxieties. But awareness allows us to observe these thoughts without becoming attached to them. When you notice a negative thought arise, simply acknowledge it and let it pass without judgment. This is not about suppressing or ignoring the thought. It is about recognizing that you are not the thought. You are the awareness observing it. As you practice this, you'll start to notice subtle shifts. Your thoughts will no longer have the same power over you. They will no longer dictate your emotional state or sense of reality. Instead, you'll find that you can choose your responses with greater clarity, ease, and flow. You'll become more present in each moment, more aware of what is happening inside you and around you. This shift in awareness allows you to become more in tune with the larger currents of life, making it easier to navigate challenges and seize opportunities as they arise. One of the most powerful ways to integrate awareness into daily life is through emotional alignment. Emotions are often our strongest teachers, yet many of us avoid or suppress them because they can feel overwhelming. But when you approach emotions from a place of awareness, you can begin to see them for what they truly are. Signals that guide you toward alignment or misalignment with your inner truth. When you feel a strong emotion, whether it's joy, fear, anger, or excitement, take a moment to pause and observe it. What is this emotion telling you? Where is it coming from? How does it feel in your body? Rather than reacting impulsively, simply allow yourself to feel the emotion fully without judgment. This emotional presence brings clarity, helps to dissolve resistance, and invites you to act from a place of alignment. Another important practice is letting go of the need to control outcomes. Often, we cling to the idea that we must make things happen. We feel that we need to plan every detail, control every step, and ensure that things unfold in a specific way. But awareness teaches us to release this attachment. When we become attached to specific outcomes, we limit the flow of possibilities. Life is dynamic, ever-changing, and infinitely complex. When we try to control everything, we box ourselves into a narrow version of reality. Awareness, on the other hand, teaches us to let go of control and trust that life will unfold in ways we may not yet understand, but that are always aligned with our highest good. This does not mean being passive or indifferent. It means surrendering the need to force outcomes and instead moving in harmony with the flow of life. It means taking inspired action when the moment arises, but also having the patience to wait when necessary. Awareness allows us to feel into the subtle currents of life, to sense when to act and when to rest. It brings a sense of peace because we understand that we are not alone in this process. We are co-creating with the universe, not trying to control it. As you continue to integrate awareness into your life, you will notice that you are no longer living in reaction to the world around you. Instead, you become a conscious creator, responding to life from a place of presence, clarity, and alignment. The more you practice awareness, the more you begin to see opportunities, solutions, and pathways that were invisible before. You no longer feel like a passive participant in your life story. Instead, you realize that you are the author, the actor, and the director moving through life with grace and ease. This shift in perspective is transformative. As awareness becomes your foundation, you will naturally begin to manifest more effortlessly. Your desires will no longer feel like distant dreams that require massive effort to attain. Instead, they will feel like natural extensions of your inner state, flowing toward you with ease. Life will no longer feel like a struggle. It will feel like a beautiful, ongoing dance with the universe. Incorporating awareness into your daily life is not about adding more to your to-do list or trying harder to be perfect. It is about simplifying, slowing down, and becoming more present. It is about choosing to live each moment with mindfulness, curiosity, and openness. The more you cultivate awareness, the more you will see that manifestation is not something that happens outside of you. It happens within you, through the simple act of being fully present in each moment. As we conclude this journey into the transformative power of awareness, let us take a moment to reflect on the profound shift we've explored. Throughout this exploration, we've uncovered a simple but revolutionary truth. Awareness, more than intention, is the true creative force that shapes our reality. Where intention alone often leads to struggle, resistance, and tension, awareness allows us to move with the flow of life, effortlessly, gracefully, and in perfect alignment with the universe. At the core of this truth is the realization that you are not merely a passive observer of your reality, but an active co-creator with the universe. The more you cultivate awareness, the more you will see that life is not something happening to you, but something that unfolds through you. Awareness gives you the power to step outside of the limiting narrative of the mind, the constant chatter of fear, doubt, and desire, and into a space of presence, clarity, and infinite possibility. By shifting from intention to awareness, you open the door to a life where manifestation is no longer a struggle but a natural, effortless flow. No longer do you need to force outcomes or chase desires. Instead, you begin to recognize that everything you need is already available to you, waiting to be drawn into your experience through the simple act of being aware, present, and aligned. The more you embody this awareness, the more you will naturally attract the experiences, people, and opportunities that resonate with your true essence. As you step into this new way of living, remember that awareness is not something you need to achieve or master. It is not a destination. It is a process, a way of being. Every moment offers you the opportunity to deepen your awareness and expand your connection to the present moment. Whether you are facing challenges, experiencing joy, or simply going through your daily routine, each moment is an invitation to practice awareness. This practice of awareness does not require perfection or constant effort. It is about choosing, in every moment, to come back to the present, to observe without judgment, and to align with the flow of life. The more you practice this, the more you will experience the magic of life unfolding effortlessly. As you learn to trust the process and release the need to control outcomes, you will discover that life becomes less of a challenge and more of a co-creative dance with the universe. So, what happens when you fully embrace this shift? When you begin to manifest not from force but from presence, not from trying but from allowing, you will begin to see that the life you've always desired is not as far away as it seems. It is not something you need to work tirelessly to create. It is already here, waiting for you to align with it. You will discover that when you let go of control, when you stop trying to force the universe into a box, life begins to work with you, not against you. In conclusion, the key to manifestation is not in your willpower, not in how hard you try, but in your awareness. By shifting your focus from intention alone to awareness as your guiding force, You enter a state of ease, flow, and alignment. This is not just a new way of thinking, it is a new way of being. And as you continue to live from this place, you will begin to see your reality transform in ways that feel natural, effortless, and deeply fulfilling. So, as you move forward, ask yourself, how can I bring more awareness into my daily life? What would it feel like to manifest my desires with ease and flow, rather than struggle and force? Trust that the universe is already responding to your vibration, and that every step you take in awareness brings you closer to the life you were meant to live. Remember, you are not alone in this process. You are co-creating with a force far greater than yourself, one that is always guiding you toward your highest potential. And as you embrace awareness, you will discover that the power to transform your reality was always within you. It simply needed to be recognized, embodied, and aligned with. This is the true magic of manifestation, and it begins with the simple act of being aware.